Jellal being a badass, Happy crying, and Natsu and Lasana naked. This is the first episode of Anime Got Me Like, chapter 367 of Fairytail. So before I begin, don't mind the dirty background. I'm just starting to set up for this new channel. So without further ado, let's begin. So this chapter starts off right after Zero freezes Natsu, and we all know Zero heard Gray's name and he fucking flipped out and said he didn't want to hear the disgusting name and just froze Natsu. So Natsu is unfrozen and he's naked. I don't know why. It's Fairytail. It has to have naked guys or bitches. So Natsu's frozen and he finds Lasana and she's naked, but not in the sense of when Lucy's naked or when Urza's naked. I guess the author hero is very censored when it comes to her because you never really seen Lasana naked until now, and she wasn't really that naked. A lot of shadows were covering her, like last chapter, and the chapter before that, Urza was not barely covered or censored. Just her nipples were censored, and her breasts were still shown. But Lasana wasn't. She was mostly covered in shadows. But enough about titties. Let's keep going with the chapter. So we finally get to see real-time bonding between Natsu and Lasana. But what I mean is, before we will only see them bonding in flashbacks when they were younger. But we barely got to see them bonding in the present time. Only when she came back from Edalus. Skip ahead to the middle of the chapter. This is where all the action starts. Not too much action, but it starts off where it left off with Jellal. Him getting his ass beat by the Rashanseis. And they kept talking about freedom, and Jellal kept disagreeing with them, and they didn't know why. So he started saying, you're not free because you're still in the darkness, and then he starts whipping some ass. And that's where it leaves off. Again, Hero's teasing us with Jellal, and it's getting me a little bit pissed off. So in the end, we are in the Fairytail Guild. We have Gramps. He's pretty pissed off. He doesn't know what to do. Everybody in the guild is scared. We see Juvia, we see Gray, we see Lucy, and they're all talking about what's gonna happen. How do we find Urza? How do we find Mirror J, Natsu, Lasana? And they pretty much are screwed because Wendy can't sense or smell them anymore. And I guess she has one of the best noses because when they asked Gajil to do it, he said, if she can't do it, I can't do it. And we see Happy and he's crying. I don't know what happened to him. I guess Zero let him go because he's back into the Fairytail Guild and he's saying he knows where they're at. They're in this big magical square that's moving. And then we finally get to see Levy stepping up and saying, you know what? I'll find them. I don't care if it's moving. I know what to do. For that, before we could get any story progression, because this week's chapter was extremely weak in story progression. It's one of those chapters that you're just like, Hero, what the fuck are you doing? Just give us more hentai. Just don't give us useless chapters. And I'm not saying this chapter is useless, but it's not as important as other chapters. It was very little story progression, and it's not a chapter that people wanted from last week, especially having such a strong chapter of last week. People are definitely going to be disappointed with this chapter, but still, it's a good chapter, so don't let it fool you. But as I was saying, before we could get any story progression, Happy thought about Zero once he looked at Gray, and Gray looked like, what are you going to tell me? And Hero teases us again and does not let Happy say anything to Gray. I don't know why. And then you get a little sweet moment with Lucy holding Happy, saying, it's not your fault. I know you didn't mean to leave him behind, but it's all you could do to help us out. And Happy got a handful of titties, and Happy was happy. So thanks for watching the first episode of Anime Got Me Like. If you guys enjoyed this review, let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be doing much more videos about the chapters of Naruto, the chapters of Bleach, Hajime no Ippo, and Fairytail. Thanks for watching.